Hi there guys, and welcome to 51 Advanced Rock Licks. My name's Tom Quayle, and on this DVD I'm going to take you through 51 really exciting advanced rock licks that contain all sorts of techniques from tapping, legato, hybrid picking, sweep picking. They're really going to help you in your rock playing and expand your arsenal of amazing rock licks. Hope you enjoy them. Let's get started right away. Okay guys, here we go with lick number one. This one's based around, as most of the licks are, A minor pentatonic, lots of 16th note triplets. Let's play it up to speed, then we'll play it slow, and then I'll show you how it goes. Here we go. Okay, now let's try it with the metronome, nice and slow, around 60 BPM. Okay, so with this particular lick, we're going to start down at the 3rd fret of the low E string with the 1st finger. Going to strike that with the downstroke and then do a hammer on with the 2nd finger onto the 5th fret of the same string. Then move over to the 3rd finger on the A string at the 5th fret and do that with a downstroke of the right hand. And then you can either sweep through to the 2nd fret with the 1st finger on the D string, or you can use a little hybrid picking trick like I do with the middle finger on the right hand to play that 2nd fret, so we get this. Or with 2 downstrokes in a row. What you're then going to do is a little bit of a stretch. You're going to hammer with the 2nd finger onto the 5th fret of the D string. Now don't worry if you find that a big stretch, it is a big stretch. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to. So then slide up to the 7th fret on the same string. 3rd finger is going to grab the 7th fret of the G string, and I'm going to use a downstroke for that. Now here again we can either use the middle finger on the right hand or a downstroke, so a little mini sweep, to play the 5th fret on the B string with the 1st finger. Then hammer on with the 3rd finger to the 8th fret on the same string and slide up to 10. Okay, then you can either do an upstroke or the middle finger on the right hand if you're hybrid picking on the 8th fret of the high E with the 1st finger. Then back 2nd finger this time onto the 10th fret of the B string, use a downstroke. Then the 3rd finger on the 10th fret of the high E, pick that and slide up to 12. That's in time, so don't do a gliss slide, it's actually in time. Place the 1st finger back on the 10th fret of the high E and pull off. Hammer back on again to the 12th fret with the 3rd finger, and then slide up to the 15th fret. So that little section starting from the 8th fret on the high E. Pull off to the 12th fret on the high E with the 1st finger. Then a little string skip over to the 14th fret of the G string with the 2nd finger. I use a downstroke here. Then an upstroke with the 1st finger of the left hand on the 12th fret of the G. You're then going to bend the 15th fret on the high E, use 3 fingers for this upper tone. Now, once you've got up to that, you've bent up a whole tone, you're going to grab the 13th fret on the high E string with the 1st finger whilst retaining that bend. And you get that beautiful oscillating effect. Bit of vibrato on the bend. And then release the bend. We don't want to hear the release, so it's not. As cool as that sounds, we just want to kill the bend first. With the right hand, rest on the strings, let it release and then pick it again. So we get this. Okay, so that whole phrase one more time, nice and slow. Okay, let's move on to the next lick. Okay, lick number 2 is, again, similar to lick number 1, based on moving around the guitar, position shifts with slides. Again, 16th note triplets here, based out of A minor pentatonic, goes like this, up to speed, then I'll play it slow, and then obviously break it down for you. Okay, let's now have a listen to that lick with the metronome at 60 BPM. Okay, so lick number 2 starts off at the 15th fret of the high E string. We're going to do a downstroke using the 3rd finger on that hand. Do the downstroke and then pull off to the 12th fret with the 1st finger on the same string. Okay, we're going to do that just before beat 1 of the bar, so we get 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then the 3rd finger is going to come across to the 15th fret on the B string. Do an upstroke, followed by another upstroke on the 14th fret of the G string with the 2nd finger, and then pull off to 12 with the 1st finger. Okay, when you've got to that point with the 1st finger, you're going to slide back to the 9th fret on the same string, in time. You're then going to grab the 12th fret on the D string with the 3rd finger, do an upstroke again, then another upstroke with the 2nd finger on the left hand on the 12th fret of the A string. Do a downstroke on the 10th fret with the 1st finger of the same string, the A string, and slide down to 7. Okay, so then we're going to get our last 4 notes are all going to be picked on the same string, the low E. We get the little finger on the 10th fret of the low E, do a downstroke, then an upstroke on the 8th fret with the 2nd finger, then a downstroke on the 7th fret, and then bring the 1st finger back to the 5th fret, which is the root note, the A, and then do an upstroke. Okay, so one more time, nice and slow. Okay, lick number 3 now. Lick number 3 is a string skipping lick, again based around A minor pentatonic. Really cool sound this, as used by lots of very sort of high-end rock players. We'll play it fast, up to speed with the track, then slowly, and then break it down as usual. Here we go. Let's do the same thing now at 60 BPM with the metronome. Okay, let's break this lick down. It's based out of 3 different positions of the minor pentatonic scale. So we're going to start at the 5th fret in 1st position with the 1st finger. We're going to just strike the 5th fret with the downstroke, 1st finger on the left hand. Then do a hammer on onto the 8th fret of the same string with the little finger. Skip over the D string, skip over the A string I should say, go to the D string. 1st finger on D5, do a downstroke, and then hammer on D7. Okay, now with this next string, we're just going to skip to the B string. I'm actually going to pick these next 2 notes. I'm going to go down on the 5th fret with the 1st finger, and then do an upstroke on the 8th fret of the B string with the little finger, and then slide into 10. Okay, so we're then going to come back down again in this new position. So we basically now we're going to pull off back to that 1st finger at the 8th fret. Skip over the G string to the D string, use the little finger on the 10th fret, do a downstroke and pull off to 7 with the first finger. Then come down to the low E, so we skip over the A string, do a downstroke on the 10th fret with the 3rd finger, pull off to the 1st finger at the 8th, and then slide up to the 10th fret we just played. Okay, now we're going to play a hammer-on onto the 12th fret after the slide. We're then going to put our 1st finger on the 10th fret of the D string and hammer on to 12. Okay, we're then going to go to the 10th fret of the B string, and again I'm going to pick these 2 notes this time. We pick 10 and then pick 13 with the little finger. Slide up to our last position, which is the 15th fret now on the B string, and pull off back to 14. Now you can use the 2nd finger here or the 1st finger on this pull off. I prefer to use the 1st finger. We're then going to come down, skip over the G string onto the D string and pick 14 with the 2nd finger or 3rd finger, entirely up to you, and pull off to 12. Go down to the low E, pick the 15th fret and pull off to the 12th, so that's 3rd finger and 1st finger. Then hammer back onto 15. I'm basically going to go back up the way we came. So we then go to the 12th fret on the D string, hammer onto 14. Back to the 13th fret on the B string, we're going to hammer 15 and slide up 2 frets to 17. We're then going to pick the 16th fret with the 2nd finger on the left hand, bend it up a half step, keep it bent up and sustaining and grab with the 1st finger the 15th fret on the high E, and then do an upstroke on both strings for an aggressive finish to the lick. And then some vibrato, just on that 2nd finger, adds to the effect of the warbling that we get, that we had in lick 1 as well. Okay, so nice and slow from the beginning. Right, let's have a look at lick number 4, which is again a position shifting idea based around A minor pentatonic. Let's play it up to speed, then with the metronome, and then I'll break it down for you. Okay, let's do the same thing now with the metronome at 60 BPM. Right, let's break that lick down. We're going to start up at the 15th fret again with the little finger, and we're going to do a little bit of a stretch here. We're going to basically pick that 15th fret with the 1st finger on the 10th fret on the same string and do a pull off. And again, as with some of the other licks, this starts just before beat 1 of the bar. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're then going to put the 2nd finger on the 12th fret of the G string. We're going to do a downstroke on that string, and then a downstroke following through on the 13th fret of the B string using the 3rd finger, and then back to that 1st finger on the 10th fret of the high E. Okay, there's another way you could pick that. So the way we just did that was 3 downstrokes in a row. So pick, pull off, down, down, down. Okay, the other way you could pick it is to do the pick and then the pull off, and then down, middle finger hybrid on the B, and then follow through with the pick onto the high E, or down, middle finger, ring finger with the hybrid picking. So there's your 3 options. All picked, one hybrid pick note on the B string, or the last one, two hybrid pick notes. And modern rock players use a combination of all of those things, or they specialise in one, so it's entirely up to you what you use. Okay, when we've done that, we're going to slide back to the 8th fret. Then do another little arpeggio, which in this case is an A minor arpeggio. We're going to go second finger on the 9th fret of the G string, do a downstroke. And again, the picking that you use here is entirely up to you. Just follow the same rule we used before, but the notes are 9 on the G, 3rd finger on the 10th fret of the B, and then 1st finger back on that 8th fret of the E. So, then slide down to 5. Okay, then we're going to play a little kind of blues style lick, but with a slightly odd kind of position shift stretch in it. And this is where we switch to our 16th note triplets as opposed to the 16th notes. So that last little phrase, little finger on B8, do an upstroke, and then 3rd finger on G7, do another upstroke, so a little sweep and then pull off to 5 with the 1st finger. Okay, here's where the slightly unorthodox approach comes in, and you could find a different fingering for this, but I like the way this sounds. 2nd finger then goes across to the 7th fret of the D, and then we hammer with the little finger onto D10. So slightly unorthodox stretch. Okay, and then we're going to bend the 8th fret on the G string up a half step so it matches the 9th fret, or the note E. And again, a nice wide rock vibrato. So that section. Okay, let me put it all together for you nice and slow. And there we have it, lick number 4. Okay, lick number 5 now. This one again based around an A minor pentatonic sound, as most of the licks are, but this one's kind of more arpeggio based, kind of a cool sound here. Slightly less pentatonic-y sounding than you might normally expect. Let's play it up to speed, then we'll do it with a metronome, and then I'll break it down for you. Here we go. Okay, now let's play it at 60 BPM with the metronome. Okay, so this lick starts out, again, 5th position, standard kind of minor pentatonic shape, but we're going to play some arpeggio shapes here, A minor 7 to start with arpeggio shapes. So we start out with the 1st finger on the 5th fret of the low E. We're going to pick that with the downstroke and then hammer onto the 8th fret with the little finger. You can use your 3rd finger if you like. Then move across to the A string with the 7th fret, 3rd finger on the left hand. Again, you can sweep this or hybrid pick it, it's entirely up to you. Let's do sweeping, so 2 downs in a row. Then another downstroke on the 5th fret of the D string, hammer onto 7. Okay, then bar across the 5th fret of the G and the B string, and again do 2 downstrokes, trying to separate these notes if possible by rolling the finger. We don't want this. Then hammer onto the 8th fret of the B string and slide up to 10. Pull off back to the 10th fret using the 1st finger. And now we're going to use upstrokes to go the other way, so 7th fret using the 2nd finger on the G string, then the 3rd finger on the 10th fret of the D, pull off to 7, then the 3rd finger on the 10th fret of the A, another upstroke, and then 2nd finger on the 10th fret of the low E, pull off back to 8, slide up to the 10th fret, hammer onto 12 with the 2nd finger, do a downstroke, we're using the 3rd finger at the 12th fret of the A string, come across to the D string, 10th fret, hammer on 12, using 1st and 2nd fingers, then 12th fret on the G string with the 3rd finger, downstroke, 10th fret on the B string, again do a downstroke, 1st finger in this case, hammer onto the 13th fret with the 3rd finger and slide up to 15. And as soon as you get to that 15th fret, you're going to bend it up a whole step. So it sounds like 17. And then as with some of the other licks, we're going to grab a second note that creates some tension along with the first note. And that note is the 15th fret on the high E with the little finger. And again, vibrato. Now that 15th fret there with on the high E with the little finger, I grab that with my second finger on the right hand, or you could do an upstroke, or you could do a downstroke. Okay, so let me play through that nice and slow for you to finish. And there we have it. Okay, lick number 6 is again a fast position shifting idea based around A minor pentatonic. This has got a combination of picking and legato in it. Let's play it up to speed, then with a metronome, and then I'll break it down for you. Okay, let's do the same thing with the metronome now. Okay, so let's break this lick down. Fairly straightforward, to be honest. It's just a bit stretchy. We're going to start up at the 15th fret again on the high E. Again, A minor pentatonic. First thing we're going to do is do a downstroke on the 15th fret, then an upstroke on the 12th fret with the second finger on the same string, and pull off back to 10 with the first finger. Okay, we're then going to do 2 picked notes on the B string, down on the 13th fret with the 3rd finger, and then up on the 10th fret with the first finger, and slide back to 8. That's our position shift. So those are our 16th note triplets grouped in 2 lots of 3. We then move position now so we can do the next sequence set for that particular phrase, which is 12 on the high E. Pick that note, as with a downstroke of course, then do an upstroke on the 10th fret of the high E and then pull off back to 8. Okay, we're then going to grab the 10th fret on the B string and the 8th fret on the same string, picked of course, and then slide back to 5. So, and then the last sequence before we go into our little kind of chromatic blues phrase is the same thing now but in this position. So little finger on the 10th fret of the high E, pick that and then pick the 8th fret with the 3rd finger, pull off back to 5. Okay, then we're going to do a pull off sequence, basically 8 to 5 on the B string. You could pick that as well. That's entirely up to you. It sounds cool both ways. Then do a little blues phrase thing. So we're using the blues scale, basically 8th fret on the G with the little finger, 7th fret on the G, and then 5th fret, and I'm going to pick, pick, pull off. So. Okay, then we're going to grab the 7th fret on the D string. This is our little chromatic section, and do this. Which is basically 7 to 5 to 6 to 7 on the D, and then wide vibrato on the 5th fret of the G string with the first finger. Okay, let me put it all together nice and slow for you. Okay, lick number 7. This is a cool sliding position shifting lick based around groups of 3 16th notes. Really cool sounding phrase. As usual, play it up to speed, then with the metronome, and then I'll break it down for you. It goes like this. Okay, let's do the same thing with the metronome at 60 BPM. Okay, so this lick is starting in 5th position again, A minor pentatonic. Kind of cool because it's based around groups of 3 when we're using 16th notes as opposed to groups of 4, although it changes towards the end of the lick. What we're going to do is slide in from around the 5th fret on the D string with the 3rd finger, a gliss slide this time, so we don't want to hear the previous note for any length of time, up to the 7th fret, and then do 2 down strokes, sorry, down and an upstroke I should say, on the 5th fret of the G string. So we get... That's going to be our little theme. Okay, so I played it a couple of different ways there, I should clarify. It's down, down, up, okay? We do that twice, and then we're going to position shift up to the 9th fret on the G string, using, again, a slide into that note from maybe the 7th or the 6th fret. 2nd finger, that's our target finger here, on that 9th fret, and then the 8th fret on the B string is going to be our other note. So, and those we're going to do twice each. We're then going to do the same thing once, sliding up to the 12th fret on the G, and the 10th fret is the other note on the B string, so 3rd and 1st fingers. Then up to the 14th fret on the G and the 13th on the B. So we've got... Really important you get those slides in there. They add a bit of kind of liquidy kind of feel to the phrase, make it a little bit sort of dirtier sounding. Then we're going to do this little rising sequence, a pedal point sequence on the 14th fret of the G string. We go 14 on the G, 15th fret on the B, 2nd finger, back to 14, then 16 on the B, then back to 14, and then 17 on the B. Then we're going to strike down, up, on the G string at the 14th fret. So just one more time. Then grab the 15th fret on the high E and bend it up a whole step. And again, nice wide rock vibrato. Those rakes really help as well. Just make it sound more rock, basically. Okay, there we have it. Okay, lick number 8 is a fast sequence pull-off line that basically runs up through A minor pentatonic again. Really cool, useful idea, as used by players like Zakk Wylde. Really, really nice sound. So again, play it fast, then slow with the metronome, and then break it down for you. Right, let's do the same thing with the metronome at 60 BPM. Okay, this is a pretty straightforward lick. The difficult thing is it's so fast and there's a lot of position shifts in it. So basically we're going to start out again in this 5th position A minor pentatonic shape, but on the D and the G strings. Basically everything's a pick and then a pull off essentially, but just sequence between strings. So we pick the 7th fret with the 3rd finger on the G string and then pull off to 5. Then do the same thing, same frets on the D string. Okay? We're then going to move to the G string, pick the 9th fret, pull off to 7, then 10 to 7 on the D. We're then going to move to the 12th fret of the G string, pull off to 9, then 12 to 10 on the D, then 14 to 12 on the G and the D strings, then 15 to 13, and we're moving strings now, so we're on the B and the G now. So 15 to 13 on the B, and then 14 to 12 on the G. Okay, then we're going to go 15 to 12 on the high E, and then 15 to 13 on the B, and then 17 to 15 on both the E and the B. And then we're going to do 20 to 17 on both strings. And then right up at the 22nd fret, which is as far as I can go, you guys may have a 22 fret neck. 24 fret neck, I should say. So this is as high as I can go. 22 to 20, and the same on the B. And then I'm going to bend the 22nd fret up a full tone. Okay, so that goes all the way back up to E again, the highest note that we can get. Okay, so really slow. Okay, last little note on this before I finish. Basically, when you're switching between the strings, feel free to go down and then up, or 2 downs, or up and up, whatever works for you, picking wise, basically, you'll find the way that works best for you. Okay. Okay, let's have a look at lick number 9 now. This is kind of an interesting sequenced triad-based idea, which is used quite a lot in kind of rock playing, but again, all based out of the A minor pentatonic scale, so we're using or executing the triads that are contained within that particular scale. And at the end, we've got this fast-picked pentatonic run. So, as usual, up to speed, then slowly with the metronome, and then I'll break it down for you. Okay, let's try the same thing now with the metronome at 60 BPM. Okay, so this lick starts out, as I say, with some triad shapes, and they're not traditional triads in terms of major and minor, but they're 3-note structures, which is why I'm labelling them as triads. Some of them are major, and there's a couple, there's a major and a minor in there as well, but they're not specifically all in that vein. So we're going to start out with this structure, which is basically 2nd finger on the 5th fret of the D, 3rd finger on the 5th fret of the G, 1st finger on the 3rd fret of the B. And the way I'm picking this is basically we're going D, G, then B. So I'm going down, middle, down. Now you could do down, 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 or you could use some combination of kind of pick, middle, and ring finger. But I find down, middle, down works well for me. Just find what works best for you, basically. So when we've done that, we go down, middle, down. The notes want to be separate, by the way. I'm going to slide up to 5. Okay, then I'm going to repeat that same shape now, but I'm going to slide up to the 8th fret. So, and these are triplet or 16th note triplet figures. Sorry. Now we've got this C major triad shape, so a proper major triad. 10th fret with the 3rd finger on the D, 9th fret on the G, first finger on the 8th fret of the B. So we get, Then we're going to slide up to the 10th fret and do that original first shape again, so 12, 12, 10. Okay, so Now we slide up and do an A minor shape. 14, 14, 13, second, third and first fingers respectively. Now our final shape, we're going to slide up to the 15th fret and play our original shape again, which is in this case 17, 17, 15. Then the lick changes, we're going to hammer onto the 17th fret of the B, and then do this fast picked pentatonic run, which is 20 to 15 on the E string. Now I find this easiest if I start with an upstroke. You may find it easier starting with a downstroke, but it's all alternate picked. So 20 to 15. Then I'm going to do 17 to 15, 17 to 14, so that's B and then G. Then I do 20 to 15 on the B, and then 17, 14, 17, 14 on G and D. Then just come straight down the scale, 17, 14 on the G, 17, 14 on the D, 17, 15 on the A, finishing on the A at the 17th fret of the E string. So that picked run . Okay, let me play that nice and slow for you as a whole. Okay, lick number 10 is the last of our position shifting licks. Again, based around A minor pentatonic, but with some cool kind of slides and string skips in. This one, again, I'll play fast for you, then do it with the metronome nice and slow, and then break it down for you. Okay, let's try the same thing with the metronome, nice and slow. Okay, so this starts out at the 3rd fret of the low E string. We're going to pick the first note with the first finger and then with a downstroke and then hammer onto the 5th fret with the 3rd finger. Now again, I use hybrid picking for this, but you guys can use alternate picking to switch between the strings here, no problem at all. So I'm going to go 3, hammer 5, then first finger on A3, I use my middle finger, and then back to the 5th fret with the, in this case, the 2nd finger on the low E5. So notice the switch of fingers there. Then that 3rd finger is going to go back to A5 and slide up to A7. Okay, then we do a similar kind of thing, 5th fret on the D string with the first finger. I use my middle finger on the right hand to execute the note. And then 2nd finger on the 7th fret of the A. Okay, just to remind you, you could use just alternate picking for that, so that's absolutely fine as well. Then the 3rd finger is going to slide from 7 up to 10 on the D string. Come back with the first finger and grab the 7th fret on the G and execute it either with an upstroke or the middle finger on the right hand. And then 3rd finger, 10th fret on the A, so we're skipping over the D string. Okay, then I use my middle finger to execute the 8th fret on the G string and slide up to the 9th with my 2nd finger. Okay, again, you could use an upstroke if you wanted to. Then first finger on B8, then back to G9 with the 2nd finger. So that little section there. 3rd finger on B10, slide up to 13. Grab the 10th fret on the high E with the first finger, again hybrid picked for me, maybe an upstroke for you. And then a downstroke on the 12th fret of the G string with the 3rd finger. Then second finger up to the 11th fret of the high E, slide up to 12, and then pull off back to 10, and hammer onto 15 with the little finger. Okay? And then we're going to basically pick the 15th fret of the B string using 3 fingers on the left hand and bend up a whole step. And then do a little pentatonic run. We don't want to hear the release on that bend, by the way. But a nice vibrato. Then a little picked run starts at the 12th fret of the high E with a downstroke. And then just 1 note on that string, then 2 on each of the others. So 15 to 13 on the B. I use up and then down. You could use down and then up, whatever works best for you. And then G14 to G12. And then D14 to D12. So the picked run. And that's 16th note triplets. Okay, so the whole thing, nice and slow, goes like this. And there we have it. Okay, so on to lick number 11. This is the first of our tapping licks. Again, based out of A minor pentatonic, and they basically traverse the neck a little bit with some string skipping as well. So we'll do it up to speed, then with a metronome at 60 BPM, and then I'll break it down for you. So it goes something like this. Right, let's try this now with the metronome at 60 BPM. Okay, let's break this lick down. It starts with an interesting technique actually, which Greg Howe termed a hammer on from nowhere. Basically what's going to happen is we're going to hammer with the first finger of the left hand onto the A string at the 10th fret. Okay, now in doing so what we do is we actually get the sound of the note at the 10th fret, but it means we don't have to use the right hand to articulate it. So, okay, we're then going to hammer on with the third finger to the 12th fret. And then tap at the 15th with the second finger. I use the second finger because it means I can hold the pick as well. Okay, we then skip over the D string, moving to the G string. We're going to hammer 9, hammer on from nowhere with the first finger, little or third finger on the 12th fret hammer, and then tap on the 14th. We're then going to come back down that sequence and then back up again. So we get. Okay, then we're going to jump over to the high E and go hammer from nowhere on 10, hammer 12, and then tap 15. We're then going to pull off back down. Okay, so we get this. When we've pulled off back down again to the 10, we're going to slide up to 12. Hammer back onto 15 with the third finger and tap 17. So just up to that point, sorry. Then come back down again. Then on the G string, we're going to tap 17, pull off to 14, pull off to 12. And then on the A string, tap 17, pull off to 15, pull off to 12. Now back up again, so hammer on to 15, and then tap 17. Hammer on from nowhere to 12 on the G, hammer 14, tap 17. Now hammer on from nowhere 12, 15, tap 20. Okay, then we're going to pull off back down again. Take the second finger on the left hand, and hammer from nowhere onto the 15th fret of the B, and then hammer 17 with the little finger. Tap 20, pull off to 17, pull off to 13. That's little and first finger. So, and then hammer on from nowhere onto 14 on the G, pull off to 12. So that's the last little section. Okay, so let me play that really slow for you now, just to finish off. So here we go. Okay, here's lick number 12. This is the second of our tapping licks. Basically just a really long, flowing, sequenced A minor pentatonic with a couple of string skips in. Very, very fast. We'll play it up to speed first, and then slow it down, and then, yeah, break it down for you. It goes like this. Okay, let's do the same thing now with the metronome at 60 BPM. Okay, this lick starts up at the 12th fret of the A string. We're going to do a hammer on from nowhere, as Greg Howe calls it. So we're just going to hammer straight onto that 12th fret. Then we're going to hammer onto the 15th with the little finger, then the 17th, sorry, with the third finger, and then the 17th with the little finger, and then tap at the 19th. So, okay, we then skip over the D string to the G string now, and we hammer onto the 12th fret with the first finger, then the 14th, with the second finger, and then the 17th with the little finger, and tap at the 19th. So, we're then going to move to the high E string, skip over the B. We're going to do hammer 12, hammer 15, hammer 17, tap 20. Okay, so we sequence those a little bit so we get this. So on the G string we go all the way up, all the way back down, and then all the way back up again. And then on the high E, now we're just going to come back down the sequence, okay? So we're going to go tap 19 on the G, pull off to 17, pull off to 14, pull off to 12. Then do the same thing on the A string, tap 19, pull off to 17, pull off to 15, pull off to 12. Okay, so nice and slow. Right, lick number 13 is a very, very fast kind of flurry of notes on one string that kind of outlines like a blues scale sound, starting up at the 10th fret of the B string. Let's again play it up to speed, then with the metronome, and then I'll break it down for you. Okay, let's try this with the metronome now at 60 BPM. Okay, let's break this down for you. This starts out at the 10th fret of the B string. I'm going to do a little bit of a stretch here. We're basically going to stretch from 10 with the first finger, 13 with the third finger, and 15 with the little finger. Okay, and then basically what we're going to do is we're going to hammer on from nowhere, then hammer, hammer, and then tap at the 16th fret. Now this is the blue note, the flat 5, so it gives us this interesting kind of blues sound. We're going to pull all the way back off again, go all the way back up, but instead of hitting the 16th fret with the tap, we're going to hit the 17th fret. Then back down, back to 16, back down, back to 17, back down. So we get this. Okay, when we've got back down to this 10th fret for the last time, we're going to slide up to 13, hammer 15, hammer 17, and then tap on the 20th fret, and then come back down again. So. And on the third time of going back down and then back up again, we're going to push with the left hand. While the tap is down, we're going to bend up a whole step. Now when I say with the left hand, all of the bending motion is going to come from the strength of the left hand. We're not going to bend with the right hand tap. And then some vibrato that comes from the left hand itself. So there we have it, lick number 13. Okay, lick number 14 is a very melodic tapped idea based around the upper register of the guitar. Very vocal kind of line involving bends and then tapping whilst the string is bent. So as usual, up to speed first, then with the metronome, and then I'll break it down for you. It goes like this. Okay, let's try this with the metronome at 60 BPM. It's kind of an improvised element to the rhythm here, but I'll do it with the metronome anyway so you can hear the mechanics of the phrase. So it goes like this. Right, so let's break this down. Pretty simple lick here, nothing too crazy technically going on here, but it's quite nice to make the notes sing and have the nice vibrato in there. So what we're going to do, start up at the 15th fret of the B string. We're going to do a rake pick down onto that note and then bend up a full tone, or one whole step or 2 frets. So we get this. Nice vibrato, and then while that string's bent, we're going to tap at the 20th, pull off, then the 19th, pull off, and then the 18th fret and pull off. So we get this. Okay, now you can release at that point if you want to. You can pull off back to the 15th fret and release. When I'm doing it, I actually just, kill the bend. Then we're going to bend that up again. Bend up, release, pull off back to 13, and then back onto 15 again. Now we're going to bend the 15th fret on the high E string up a whole step and tap on the 22nd fret. Again, nice vibrato coming from the left hand in that case. So here's the lick one more time, nice and slow. So, lick number 15. This one is more of a kind of cliched idea that you can use in combination with some of the other licks. Again, it's a tapping idea. Obviously, we're in the tapping section here. This one, it's just got 2 notes in it, but it's going to sound a little bit like a harmonica player. This is a very cool effect. So just a very short idea. Let's do it up to speed, then with the metronome, and I'll break it down for you. Okay, let's now do this same idea with the metronome at 60 BPM. Okay, so as you can hear, this lick is definitely very harmonica influenced, lots of kind of blues harmonica kind of sounds going on here. So again, only 2 notes apart from the bend at the end, and all we're going to do is go up to the 15th fret of the B string. We're going to bend up after we've struck it, basically a whole step. Then we're going to do 2 tap and pull off movements on the 18th fret of the B string. Now, as soon as you've done that, what you want to do is, rather than repicking or releasing the bend down all the way, you're going to release probably just halfway and then push back up again. So it goes slightly out of tune and then back in tune again. This is an effect that takes a little bit of while to get, mastered, but this is the effect you're getting nice and slow. It's a little bit like when a car siren goes past when you're driving, and you get that kind of slightly out of tune effect as it goes past. It's quite similar, what we call the Doppler effect. So that's the kind of sound you're going for. All I did just to tag the lick on the end is, as soon as I'd finished, I did it a certain number of times. You could do it 4 or 8 times. I stopped the lick and then did a bend up at the 20th fret of the B string. And I did a full step bend and then nice wide rock vibrato as well. So, lick number 16 is another tapping lick. It's just basically a flurry of notes. Basically, when you're playing some of these lines, the way you execute them, you're not too worried about the rhythmic subdivisions. You're just going to play as fast as you can. It gives you a very textural effect. We'll find this when we do some of the legato lines later on. This one is one of those lines. Just play as fast as you possibly can. Try and make it reasonably accurate, and you'll get the effect desired. So, as usual, play it up to speed, then with the metronome, and then I'll break it down for you. Okay, let's try this with the metronome now at 60 BPM. So let's break this down. Pretty straightforward in terms of what's going on. It's basically just standard 3-note per string scale, but as you can see, I'm tapping the first note on each string, which allows me to go a lot faster than I would if I was articulating either by legato or if I was picking the first note on each string. So it's just a very nice, smooth, cascading sound that you get that guys like Greg Howe use quite a lot. So what we're going to do is start up at the 19th fret on the high E. We're going to tap 19, pull off to 17, pull off to 15, and I'm using obviously the middle finger on my right hand, and then the third and the first finger on the left. So we get... Okay, then we're going to move to the 18th fret on the B string and go 18 tapped, 17, then 15 as pull-offs. Okay, then we're going to move to the G string, tap 17, pull off to 16, pull off to 14. And that's our group of 3. We're going to do this in descending groups of 3. So now we go back to the B string, 18 as a tap, 17, 15 pull off, and then 17 tap, 16, 14 pull off, and then 17, 15, 14 on the D. Now the next group, do the same thing on the G, so 17, 16, 14 with the tap, 17, 15, 14 on the D, and 17, 15, 14 on the A. Now finally, 17, 15, 14 on the D, same on the A, and then 17, 15, 13 on the E, and then slide down to the 12th fret on the E string. And as usual, that kind of nice rock vibrato, nice and wide. So we get this all together. And you can either play it nice and in time, or you can play it just as fast as you possibly can, and it will have very cool effect if you do it that way as well. Okay. Right, lick number 17 is the first of our licks that are based around bends. So, very, very obvious rock technique, but sometimes gets overlooked by people. These are all quite cool, kind of slightly unorthodox bending licks in most cases as well. So, lick number 17, as usual, I'll play it fast for you, and then I'll do it with the metronome, and then we'll break it down. So, here we go. Okay, let's do the same thing now with the metronome at 60 BPM. Okay, so this lick is based around a little cool idea where if you play a fretted note and then bend to that same note from a fret below, you get this cool kind of almost like Eastern effect. It's kind of a cool sound that people use a lot. Guys like Andy Timmons use it a lot in their rock playing. So what we're going to do is start at the 5th fret of the G string, and some of these notes are going to give us kind of almost an outside kind of vibe as well. If you play this over the E7 part of the track, it almost sounds even cooler actually. So we're going to start with the 5th fret, 2nd finger. We're going to pick the note with a downstroke. Then we're going to go immediately back to the 4th fret and we're going to bend up a half step with that 1st finger. And if you lock the joint of your finger, this bit, against the neck, you'll get a better kind of attack here or a better control of the bend because we're going to pull down. So 4, pull down a half step and then release. So we get that bend that's kind of like, it starts out of tune at the 4th fret, then it's in tune with the 5th fret and then back out again. And we're going to do each of these twice. Then we're going to move up to the 9th fret on the G string, do the same thing between the 9th and the 8th frets. So that's kind of outside. It's a little bit like using the 5th of the A minor chord in the backing track and then the flat 5. Then up to the 12th fret, so 12 and 11, and then up to the 17th fret between 17 and 16. Then we're going to grab a very melodic bend that kind of brings us back into the natural sound of the track, so we're back in harmonically. We're going to bend up the 18th fret on the B string up a whole step. Then release. Nice vibrato, then back to the 17th fret on the B. So one more time. Okay, lick number 18 is, again, another bending idea, but basically this time we're going to kind of juxtapose whole step and half step bends against each other within the minor pentatonic scale. So, as usual, up speed, then at 60 BPM with the metronome, and then I'll break it down for you. It goes like this. Okay, let's do this with the metronome at 60 BPM. So this lick, again, not particularly difficult in terms of some of the other licks that are much, much faster, but again, very melodic sound. So we're going to start off 5th position, A minor pentatonic, 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the G string, and what we're going to do is pick that and then bend it up a whole step. While you're up there, pick it again 2 more times, and then release and bend up a half step. So you notice I didn't re-pick, I just released and then bent up a half step. Okay, kind of like pushing the pitch wheel on a keyboard halfway up as opposed to all the way up. Nice rock vibrato, then we get this phrase. Okay, very rock. So this is basically pick the 7th fret again on the G string, bend up a half step, kill it so we don't hear the release, and then play. You do that with the right hand, by the way, just by resting on the string. Now come and play 7 again, down to G5 with the 1st finger, D7 with the 3rd finger, D5 with the 1st finger. Now bar across to get G5, keep those notes separate. And then 3rd finger on D7. Okay, then we're going to play, we're going to slide that down to the 5th fret on the A string, so now the 3rd fret on the A string, Now we're going to repeat the same line but down an octave effectively. It's almost the same line. But this time, because we're so close to the edge of the upper part of the fretboard, we need to pull down with the bend. So this is the A string at the 5th fret. We pull down a whole step, pick twice, release, and then bend a half step. Now, similar kind of bluesy phrase. Okay, so this one we're going to pick the 5th fret, bend up a half step, and then kill it. Release without hearing the release, and then pick A5, A3, E5, E3, bar across or jump to get A3 again, and then pick E3 and hammer quickly onto E5. Nice vibrato and roll off basically. So one more time, nice and slow. Okay, so lick number 19. This is basically another bending lick, but this time we're going to pick just once and then do a sequence of bends. Very Steve Vai actually used to do a lot of this kind of stuff. So again, I'll play it up to speed, then play it with the metronome, and then break it down for you. It goes like this. So let's try this now, nice and slow, with the metronome. Right, so this is the only lick that I'm going to show you that you can do two ways. There's an easier way and a harder way. And there's very little kind of payoff to doing it the harder way. You might as well try it the easy way. But I'm going to show you both ways anyway, for you guys who are sticklers for punishment. So the first way you can do it, basically we're going to do this sequence of bends starting at the 15th fret of the B string. The idea being you pick the first note and then you don't re-pick again. Okay, so you've got to be a little bit careful with muting here as you slide up and down, well, up basically. So we're going to pick the 15th fret, bend up a whole step, then we're going to release, slide up to the 18th fret, bend up a whole step, release, and then the harder way is to slide up 2 frets to the 20th fret and bend up a whole step. So you get... Okay, the reason that's more difficult is because it's harder to jump a 3-fret jump and then a 2-fret jump. What you'll find is your brain will prefer you to jump 3 frets and then 3 frets again. So what you can do if you want is go 15, and I did this on the demo version of this lick, 15, slide up to 18, bend up a whole step, slide up to 21, bend up a half step, which also means your last bend is easier. So you get this. Just a little bit easier to execute, and there's nothing wrong with doing that at all because we're not going to release the bend, so we don't get to hear what the 21st fret sounds like. What we're then going to do is just repeat that basically on the high E string. So again, you could do 15, 18, 20. Okay, a little bit more tension on that string because the basically there's more tension in general on the high E because it's a thinner piece of wire tuned more tightly than on the B string. But again, you could do 15, 18, 20, or you could do 15, 18, 21. But that's the general idea. Works really nicely, just kind of inserted in between other licks. It adds a lot of tension, makes the guitar scream a little bit. Okay, lick number 20 could almost actually be thought of as a riff, to be honest, as much as a lick, but starts out like a riff and then turns into a kind of lead thing. But rhythmically, it's quite interesting, and also there's a couple of kind of slightly tricky kind of slide into bends, so it's quite challenging in that respect. So, as usual, let's have a listen to it up to speed with the track, then with the metronome, and then I'll break it down. Okay, let's try this with the metronome now at 60 BPM. So let's break this down. Again, pretty straightforward, just a couple of kind of tricky bits in here, nothing too crazy. Starts at the 5th fret of the low E string on the A, which matches the chord perfectly, obviously. Now you can play this pretty much anywhere within the two chords. There's an A minor and an F major that you can play it. Start it wherever you like, it's going to sound fine. So we're going to take that first finger on that low E5, do a downstroke, then we're going to do an upstroke with the third or little finger on the octave, which is basically D7. Then take the second finger, do a downstroke, and pull the 6th fret on the A string up a half step. Which is way cooler than just going, you know, just playing that note. Now we're going to play the 5th fret on the A string, followed by the 8th fret on the E and the 5th fret on the E. That's little finger and first finger. Those are all picked, so... Okay, now we leave a 16th note gap and we're going to play 7 on the A, 5 on the D, 7 on the D, and then bend the 6th fret on the G string up a half step. So again, we're doing this thing where we're approaching the note we want from a half step below and bending into it. So, okay, when we've done that, we're going to catch the open E, come back to the 4th fret on the G string and bend up a half step. Well, actually, we're going to do a pre-bend, actually. It's not actually going to, we don't want to hear the bend. So bend up, pick, release, and pull off back to 2. Or pick the 2. Whatever you feel most comfortable with. So, we get this so far. Okay, now we're going to go to the 4th fret again with the 2nd finger on the G string, pick it and slide up to 9. A relatively slow slide, it wants to be relatively in time. Now we're going to take the 1st finger to the 8th fret of the B string, pick that. Then the 10th fret on the B string and slide up to the 13th fret. And this is where our slide and then straight into the bend occurs. So pick, slide, and immediately bend as you get to that 13th fret. So, okay, don't make sure you don't hear the release on that bend. Okay, and then we're going to play 10, 11, 12 on the E. Okay, sequential fingers there, just alternate pick. Take the 2nd finger on the 11th fret of the B string, bend it up a half step. Again, don't make the release happen. So no. And then kill it. 3rd finger on the 12th fret of the G, and then 1st finger on the 10th fret of the B. So that little section there, if I go from the 4th fret. A little bit tricky that. Let me play the whole thing nice and slow for you. Okay, lick number 21 deals with bends, but in a completely different way. We're going to use the bar this time. Now, if you don't have a whammy bar, obviously this lick's not going to be applicable to you, but I thought I'd include at least one whammy bar lick for the guys that do, and it's the only one, so don't worry if you've not got one. Okay, it's basically going to involve kind of dipping the bar whilst doing some pull-offs, and I've heard guys like John Petrucci do this. It's very Jan Hammery kind of keyboard effect. So, again, up speed, then with the metronome, and then I'll break it down for you. It goes like this. Okay, let's do the same thing with the metronome now. So definite kind of keyboard influence going on here, but for me, influence from guys like Van Halen, any of those kind of hard rock kind of guys, and then more modern guys like John Petrucci as well use this kind of style. So what we're going to do, start at the 13th fret, pulling off between the C and the A at the 10th fret on the B string. So 3rd finger on 13, 1st finger on 10. You're going to pick once and then do a pull off. As soon as you've done that pull off, dip the bar and bring it back down again. That's your rhythm. but you're only going to pick the first note of the entire phrase. When you've done that twice, what you're going to do is jump up to the 15th fret and hammer on. Now, then between the 15th and 13th frets on the same string, now do 17 to 15 and again hammer into the first note of the phrase. So now 20 to 17. Do that one 3 times and then hammer back onto the 20th fret and bend up a whole step. And there we have it, lick number 21. So for lick number 22, we're now moving into our picking licks. There's 10 of these, all based around kind of fast rock style picking. First one, very chromatic, almost sounds a little bit like Flight of the Bumblebee. So hope you enjoy this, and yeah, I'll play it up to speed, and then with the metronome, and then I'll break it down for you. So let's try this with the metronome now at 60 BPM. So this lick is almost entirely chromatic, just groups of 4 chromatic notes in a row. We're going to start at the 15th fret of the high E. Now I find this easiest if I start with an upstroke. I'm weird, you might want to start with a downstroke. What you are going to find is because the number of notes on each string is an even number, you start each new string with the same kind of stroke. So figure out what works best for you. I like an upstroke. So we're going to go 15, 14, 13, 12 on the E. We don't miss it. Then we're going to do the same thing on the B string, and then come down to the 13th fret on the B string and go 13, 12, 11, 10. Okay, then we're going to repeat the same figure, but this time starting on the 12th fret of the G string. We go 12, 11, 10, 9, and then come down to, we're going to go 10, 9, 8, 7 after that, and then 10, 9, 8, 7 on the D. Then the final part of the phrase, we're going to play 8, 7, 6, 5 on the A, and then 3 notes on the E string, 8, 7, 5. Bringing us back down to the root note of the A minor chord. So nice and slow. Okay, lick number 23 is a classic kind of shred rock scalic idea based around A Aeolian, or the A natural minor scale, using sequences of 3 notes per string ideas. Goes something like this, up to speed, and then broken down with the metronome, and then I'll teach you how to play it. So let's now do the same thing with the metronome at 60 BPM. So this is pretty easy to break down. It's just sequences of 3 note per string ideas, basically, based around Aeolian. So we're going to start at the 5th fret of the low E and play 5, 7, 8, all alternate picked. No double downs or double ups here, all strictly alternate picking. So 5, 7, 8, then 5, 7, 8 on the A string, followed by 7, 8, 10 on the A, and 7, 9, 10 on the D. Now 7, 9, 10 on the D again, and 7, 9, 10 on the G. Move up again now for 9, 10, 12 to 10, 12, 13 on the G and the B. Then 10, 12, 13 on the B again, 10, 12, 13 on the E. Now little finger reaches across and we go backwards now, 15, 13, 12, 15, 13, 12 on the B, E then B. Now 14, 12, 10, slide to 9 on the G. That's the only non-picked note. And then 12, 10 on the D, and then 12 on the A. Nice wide rock vibrato again. So nice and slow. Right, lick number 24 is an uber fast, 2 note per string pentatonic picking lick that sequences its way down the fretboard, as used again by guys like Zakk Wylde, a great deal in their playing, guys like Doug Aldrich. So let's check it out full speed, then with the metronome, and then broken down. Okay, let's have a listen to this now at 60 BPM with the metronome. So let's break this down. Pretty straightforward in terms of construction, just quite difficult to play because there's so many position shifts and it's so fast. It's basically a descending version of a similar line we had previously in the position shifting section of this DVD. So we're going to start up at the 12th fret of the G string, 2 note per string, and we're going to play through the pentatonic scale 12 to 14, then 13 to 15 on the B, and then 12 to 15 on the high E. When you've done that, you're going to slide from that 15th fret up to the 17th fret and then back down again. So we get... Okay, then continue picking, so 15 to 13 on the B, 14 to 12 on the G, then do that again. Now we're going to go to the 17th and 14th frets on the G and the D. Now the 14th and 12th on the same strings. Now 12 to 9 on the G, and then 12 to 10 on the D. 9 to 7 on the G, 10 to 7 on the D, and then 7 to 5 on the D and the G. 5 to 2 on both strings. And then finally 6 notes, 7 to 5 on the D, 7 to 5 on the A, and 8 to 5 on the E. Now I find it easiest to play all of this stuff starting with an upstroke like I did with the chromatic line that we learned previously. If you want to start with a downstroke, no problem at all, whatever works for you guys. Okay, lick number 25 is a fast alternate picked wide stretch legato phrase, very Paul Gilberty in many respects. So let's have a listen to it up to speed, and then with the metronome, and then broken down. Goes like this. Now the same thing with the metronome at 60 BPM. So to break this lick down, we're going to start with the first finger at the 5th fret of the low E, back on this A again, frequently using this note. We're going to do big stretches now, so basically we're playing the first 3 notes of our A minor pentatonic all on the low E string. Strict alternate picking, so 5, 8 and 10, 1st, 3rd and 4th fingers. We're then going to skip over the A string to the D string and play 5, 7, 10, 1st, 2nd and little fingers. Then position shift up to the 7th fret on the A and play 7, 10, 12, 1st, 3rd and little fingers. Jump to the G string, 7, 9, 12. Then back to the D, 7, 10, 12. Up to the B string, 8, 10, 13. G string, 9, 12, 14. And then up to the high E, 10, 12, 15. Then I do a pick and a pull off, but you can alternate pick all of this if you want to, from the 12th to the 10th fret on the high E. And then I go 13 to 10 on the B string, then 12 to 9 on the G, and then the same again. And this time finish with 12 on the D to 10 on the D, and finish on the A at the 12th fret of the A string. Okay, one more time, nice and slow. Okay, lick number 26 is another fast sequenced picked idea, this time using a combination of economy picking and alternate picking. Let's play it up to speed, then with the metronome, and then break it down for you. Okay, let's play this one with the metronome at 60 BPM. So this lick starts up at the 20th fret of the high E string, starting up with the little finger on that fret, then stretching back to the 15th fret. We're going to play 20, 17, 15, alternate picked, so down, up, down. Now 2 upstrokes, 17 on the B, 17 on the G with the 3rd and 2nd fingers respectively. Now a downstroke on the 14th fret of the G string. Now we're going to do the same starting point, so 20, 17, 15 on the B string this time. Then 17, 17, 14 on the G and D strings. And again, these are basically up, up, down essentially. So, and then we're going to go to the 19th fret on the G string and do 19, 17, 14. And then 17 on the D, 17 on the A, and then 15 on the A. So down, up, down, down. And then to finish, 19 on the D, 17 on the D, 14 on the D. And then A17 with the 3rd finger, E17 with the 2nd finger, and then downstroke on E15, and then back to E17. So nice and slow. And there we have it, lick number 26.